Deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, there was a place known only to a few, Shadow Peak. The locals spoke of it in hushed tones, warning travelers to stay away. It was said that the mountain was cursed, haunted by spirits of those who had vanished without a trace. Despite the warnings, a seasoned hiker named Tom was intrigued by the mystery. He was drawn to the challenge and the promise of uncharted territory. One crisp autumn morning, he set off alone, determined to reach the summit. The trail was steep and rugged, but Tom was experienced and well prepared. As he climbed higher, the forest grew denser, and an eerie silence enveloped him. The usual sounds of wildlife were absent, replaced by an unsettling stillness. Hours passed, and the path became more treacherous. The dense fog rolled in, obscuring his vision and making the world around him feel otherworldly. Tom pressed on, guided only by his compass and determination. Just as the sun began to set, he stumbled upon an old, dilapidated cabin. It wasn't marked on any map he had studied. Curiosity got the better of him, and he decided to investigate. The cabin's door creaked open with a spine-chilling groan, revealing a single room covered in dust and cobwebs. An old journal lay on a rickety table, its pages yellowed with age. Tom picked it up and began to read. The journal belonged to a man named Samuel, who had come to Shadow Peak decades ago. The entries grew increasingly frantic, describing strange noises, shadowy figures, and a sense of being watched. The final entry sent a chill down Tom's spine. "They come at night. Do not stay past dusk." Suddenly, Tom realized how dark it had become. The fog outside thickened, and the temperature plummeted. Panic set in as he tried to leave, but the fog had swallowed the trail. Every direction looked the same, and he felt a growing sense of dread. A low, guttural growl broke the silence. Tom's heart pounded as he scanned the darkness, his flashlight flickering. Shadows moved at the edge of his vision, and he could feel unseen eyes watching him. He sprinted back to the cabin and barricaded the door, but the growls grew closer, now accompanied by whispers. The cabin shook as something heavy slammed against the door. Tom's flashlight died, plunging him into darkness. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. In his final moments, he understood the truth. Shadow Peak wasn't just haunted. It was alive, and it had claimed another soul. Tom was never seen again, and his disappearance became another legend, another warning. The mountain stood silent and brooding, waiting for its next visitor.
In the heart of the remote, mist-shrouded mountains stood a cave, whispered about in hushed tones by the villagers. They called it the Abyss, and spoke of dark, twisted passages and a chilling presence that devoured those who dared enter. The allure of the unknown, however, was too strong for some. Sarah, an avid spelunker with a taste for adventure, had heard the legends, but dismissed them as mere folklore. She packed her gear, kissed her skeptical boyfriend goodbye, and set out alone for the abyss. The entrance was a yawning mouth of darkness, surrounded by twisted, gnarled trees that seemed to reach out as if to warn her away. She clicked on her headlamp and stepped inside, the beam of light cutting through the thick, oppressive blackness. The air grew colder with each step, and the sound of dripping water echoed through the cavern, creating an eerie symphony. As she ventured deeper, the passages narrowed and twisted like the intestines of a beast. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, their meanings lost to time, but exuding an unsettling aura. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest, but she pressed on, driven by curiosity and a stubborn refusal to believe in ghost stories. Hours passed, or maybe it was minutes. Time seemed to distort in the labyrinthine depths. Her flashlight flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced on the walls. She felt a chill crawl up her spine, the sensation of being watched. But every time she turned, she saw nothing but empty darkness. Finally, she stumbled upon a vast chamber, its ceiling lost in the shadows. At its center stood a stone altar, covered in dark, dried stains. The air was thick with the scent of decay. She approached, drawn by an inexplicable force, and saw an old, leather-bound book resting on the altar. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, filled with the same strange symbols from the walls. As she reached out to touch it, a cold, clammy hand gripped her wrist. She gasped, jerking her arm back, but no one was there. The chamber seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, the shadows closing in around her. She backed away, heart racing, and turned to flee. The passages seemed to shift and change, twisting upon themselves in a nightmarish maze. Her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into absolute darkness. Panic set in, and she fumbled for her spare batteries, but her hands were trembling too violently to fix them. In the pitch black, she heard it, a soft, whispering voice, speaking in a language she couldn't understand. It grew louder, more insistent, echoing through the tunnels. She broke into a run, blindly navigating the darkness, the whispers following her, growing into a cacophony of maddening gibberish. Just as she felt her sanity slipping, she saw a faint light ahead. She sprinted towards it, bursting out of the cave and into the pale light of dawn. She collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath, the whispers finally silenced. The villagers found her the next day, her hair turned white and her eyes wide with terror. She never spoke of what she had seen, but the look in her eyes told them everything. The abyss had claimed another victim, leaving behind only a shell of the brave adventurer she once was. And the whispers, they never truly stopped. They lingered in the back of her mind, a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurked in the depths of the abyss.